Most people believe that poverty is something that happens to you. I am going to show you today that in the majority of cases, not all, but the majority, poverty is something you are actively housing. It is sitting in your home right now. It has been sitting there for years. And the most painful part of what I am about to share is that most of the objects I am going to name are objects you were taught to keep. Someone, a parent, a grandparent, a well-meaning friend, told you these things were fine or useful or even good. And they were wrong. Not because they were careless, because they were never taught what I was taught and what I am going to teach you today. I need to say something clearly before we go further. I am not talking about clutter. I am not talking about feng shui. I am not talking about the modern interior design philosophy that tells you to only keep things that spark joy. What I am talking about is something far older and far more precise than any of that. The Jewish tradition, and I am drawing specifically from the laws of the home as they have been preserved and practiced within observant households for over 3,000 years, identifies specific categories of objects that function as what the sages called mevei bracha, blockers of blessing. These are not objects that are spiritually neutral. They are objects that, according to documented tradition, actively obstruct the flow of abundance into a household. Not metaphorically, practically. And the evidence is not theoretical. It is in the outcomes of the families who cleared these objects and the families who did not. You have probably tried the financial advice, the budget, the savings plan, the extra income, the mindset work. And some of it has helped, perhaps. But if the floor of your financial life keeps returning to the same level, no matter what you do above it, if there is a ceiling you keep hitting, a reset point you keep returning to, what I am about to share is the explanation you have not been given. Because no budget in the world repairs a vessel with a crack in it. And the objects I am going to name today are the cracks. Before we go into the list, I want you to type the words, "I am clearing," in the comments right now. Do it before we move on. In this tradition, the act of declaring an intention publicly, even here, even in writing, creates what the sages called a kiyum, a confirmation of the will. Your comment is not a formality. It is the first act of what you are about to do. Now I need to tell you about a number, 5. In the tradition I am teaching from, the number 5 carries a specific spiritual significance that is not coincidental to this list. The Hebrew letter He, which has the numerical value of 5, appears twice in the divine name, and the sages taught that it represents the two directions of divine flow, the flow that comes in and the flow that goes out. 5 is the number of the open hand, of the palm facing upward to receive. When a home contains 5 specific categories of blockage, it closes both directions. What should flow in cannot enter. What should multiply cannot move. This is not numerology in the popular sense. It is the encoded mathematics of a tradition that understood the relationship between physical objects and spiritual frequency long before that language existed. We are going through all 5 today. Do not skip ahead. They build on each other, and the 5th one, the one I have saved for last, is the one that most surprises people, including people who have studied this tradition for years. The first object is broken things that are kept waiting for repair. I want you to hear me carefully here, because this one sounds too simple, and it is not simple at all. Every Jewish home I have ever walked into that carried the energy of financial stagnation, and I have walked into many over 30 years of teaching, contained at minimum 2 or 3 broken objects that the family was intending to fix. A lamp with a broken switch, a chair with a cracked leg propped against a wall, a clock that stopped working months ago, still sitting on the shelf where the working clock used to sit, a drawer that will not fully close. I am not describing one home. I am describing a pattern I have observed so consistently that I stopped being surprised by it years ago. The sages taught a principle called Shlemut HaKli, the wholeness of the vessel. A vessel that is broken cannot hold. This is not a metaphor the tradition invented to make a point. It is the literal foundation of the entire framework of spiritual receptivity. When you allow broken objects to remain in your home, especially objects that are meant to provide light or support or measurement of time, you are signaling to the spiritual architecture of your household that incompleteness is acceptable, that the broken state is the resting state, that repair is always coming but never here. And what I have seen follow in household after household is a financial life that mirrors exactly that posture, always about to improve, never quite arriving. A woman came to me. She was in her mid-40s, had worked in the same professional role for 11 years, had never received the promotion that the people around her seemed to receive regularly, and had lived with a specific financial tightness for so long that she had stopped noticing it the way you stop noticing the sound of traffic near a busy road. She invited me into her home because she was serious about understanding why the situation would not move. Within the first 10 minutes of walking through her home, I counted 7 broken objects being kept for eventual repair. A mirror with a crack across the lower corner, 2 chairs in the dining room with structural damage, a kitchen cabinet door hanging at an angle, a standing lamp that required a specific angle to stay lit. She had lived with all of it so long she genuinely did not see it anymore. I asked her to spend one weekend removing every broken object that could not be repaired within 48 hours. Not someday, that weekend. She called me 3 weeks later. The promotion she had been passed over for twice was offered to her in a conversation that came, she said, completely out of nowhere. I am not saying the broken lamp caused the missed promotion. I am saying the broken lamp was the symptom of a posture, and the posture was costing her more than she knew. The second object is gifted money that is stored and not moved. This one I need to explain carefully because it is easily misunderstood. I am not talking about savings. Saving is a discipline this tradition honors deeply. I am talking about a specific category of received money, gifts, windfalls, unexpected income, that is placed somewhere in the home and then not moved, not allocated, not directed. The bill tucked into a book as a good luck token, the cash given at a simcha that goes into the back of a drawer, the gift card that sits in a kitchen junk drawer for 2 years. In the tradition, the principle of Hachnasat Tzedakah teaches that money which arrives as gift carries a specific spiritual charge. It is not neutral currency, it is a channel that has been opened. And a channel that is opened and then left sitting in a drawer does not stay open. It closes. And when it closes, it does not just close that channel. It signals to the broader spiritual economy of the household that received blessings are not honored, not activated, not moved forward into the world. What tends to follow, and I have observed this enough times to state it plainly, is a gradual tightening of the channels through which new income arrives. Not overnight, gradually, a quiet shrinking that the family notices but cannot explain. Direct the gifted money, all of it. Give some of it to tzedakah immediately, not because you must, but because that act of forward motion is what keeps the channel alive. Allocate the rest with intention. Do not let it sit. A blessing that is not moved becomes a blockage. This is the spiritual mechanics of how generosity compounds into abundance, and how the failure to honor received blessings begins the process that closes the gate. The third object is images or representations of lack. I know this one sounds vague, so let me make it precise. I am talking about art, photographs, posters, or decorative objects that depict poverty, scarcity, struggle, or incomplete states as their primary subject. A painting of an empty bowl, a photograph that celebrates destitution as aesthetic, an artistic print, and these are common. I see them in homes across every income level, that depicts barrenness, emptiness, or longing as beautiful. I am also talking about something more specific, family photographs that center grief, loss, or hardship, displayed in positions of prominence in the home. The main wall of the living room, the entry hallway, the place your eye goes first when you walk through the door. The tradition teaches that the ayin, the eye, the vision, is not a passive organ. What you train your eye to rest on, you train your spirit to inhabit. The sages were not speaking poetically. They were describing a spiritual mechanics of attention. When the primary visual experience of your home centers on lack, even beautifully rendered lack, even artistically sophisticated lack, you are calibrating the spiritual frequency of the household toward that register. You are not being victimized by your own art. You are choosing it. Every morning you walk past it. Every evening you walk past it. Every time a guest enters your home, their eye goes to it. And slowly, over months and years, the frequency of lack becomes the resting frequency of the house. This is not a small thing. Change what hangs on your walls and watch what changes in the air of your home within 30 days. I have seen this enough times to say it with certainty. The fourth object is clocks and timepieces that show the wrong time. I want to be precise again because this one carries a spiritual weight in the tradition that goes far beyond what most people expect. The relationship between the Jewish people and time is unlike anything in any other tradition I am aware of. The Sabbath is not a suggestion. The holidays are not cultural preferences. They are appointments, precise, scheduled, non-negotiable meetings between the human being and the divine. The tradition built an entire architecture of spiritual life around the correct relationship to time because it understood something that most modern cultures have entirely forgotten. Time is not a neutral backdrop. Time is the medium through which blessing travels. And a home that is not in correct relationship to time is a home that is, at the spiritual level, perpetually slightly out of alignment with the moment when the blessing arrives. A clock that shows the wrong time is not just a small inconvenience. In the household that keeps it, it is a daily declaration that precision does not matter, that the exact moment does not matter, that close enough is good enough. And in a tradition where the difference between lighting Shabbat candles at the right time and 1 minute late carries spiritual consequence, the tolerance for imprecision in time is not a neutral habit. It is a crack in the vessel. Correct every clock in your home. Make this a non-negotiable, not because a clock has magical power, but because the act of keeping correct time in your home is the physical expression of a spiritual posture that says, I am in alignment. I am ready. The moment that is meant for me will find me exactly where I should be. Now. The fifth object, the one I told you I was saving. The one that surprises even people who know this tradition well. The fifth object is unused vessels, specifically serving dishes, bowls, pitchers, platters, and containers that are kept but never used. The good dishes in the cabinet that only come out for guests who never arrive. The crystal that was a wedding gift and has not been touched in 15 years. The serving set displayed behind glass that the family never feels the occasion is important enough to use. I have walked into homes where the most beautiful objects in the house were also the most sealed objects in the house, protected from use, waiting for a moment grand enough to deserve them. The sages taught a principle about this that I consider one of the most important pieces of knowledge I carry. In the Tractate of Avot, the teaching of Kol Hamavatel, the one who nullifies, addresses the spiritual consequence of a potential that is never activated. An object designed to serve, to contain, to hold abundance, a vessel, that is permanently kept in a state of readiness without ever being used, becomes over time not a symbol of abundance, but a symbol of its perpetual deferral. The good dishes say, every single day they sit unused. Today is not important enough. This family is not the occasion. The real celebration is always in the future, always for someone else, always for a moment that has not arrived yet. And what I have seen in families who live by this pattern, who save the good things perpetually, is a financial life that mirrors it precisely. The abundance is always coming. It is always almost here. It is always waiting for the right moment to be released, but the right moment never quite arrives. Use the good dishes this Friday, not for guests, for your family, for yourself, for a Tuesday. The tradition teaches that when you treat your own life as worthy of the best vessel, you signal to the spiritual architecture of your home that abundance is not deferred here. It is present, it is honored, it is already flowing. I have seen this single shift, nothing else, just this, change the feeling in a home so profoundly that the people who live there feel it within a week, not just emotionally, financially. The channel that had been saving itself for a grand occasion opens because you stopped waiting for the occasion and created one. Here is the full list, sealed together. Broken things kept for eventual repair. Gifted money stored and not moved. Images and representations of lack in positions of prominence. Clocks and timepieces showing the wrong time. Unused vessels kept for an occasion that never comes. 5 objects, 5 cracks in the vessel, 5 places where the spiritual frequency of your home has been quietly broadcasting the wrong signal for longer than you know. What I have shared with you today is one layer of a teaching that goes much deeper. These 5 objects are the visible expression of a spiritual posture, and the posture itself has specific practices, specific language, specific daily disciplines that reinforce the clearing you are about to do. The complete framework, the 40-day household recalibration protocol that I have taught for 30 years, drawn from primary sources and documented in the results of real families, is in the link in the description below. It contains the specific prayers to speak as you remove each category of object. It contains the replacement practices, what to bring into the home after each clearing to fill the space correctly. It contains the principles for maintaining the frequency once it shifts, because clearing without maintaining is a temporary result. Everything is there. If you are serious about a permanent change in the financial energy of your home, not a one-week experiment, but a fundamental recalibration, do not wait until circumstances push you. Move now, while the clarity from today is still present. Let me tell you what is going to happen in the next few days, because I want to prepare you for something. When you begin removing these objects, and I know some of you will begin this weekend, and I am glad, you are going to feel, at some point, a resistance, not from anyone around you, from inside yourself. You are going to pick up the broken lamp or take down the photograph, and something in you is going to say, "This feels dramatic. This feels superstitious. This is too simple to actually matter." That resistance is not wisdom. That resistance is the habit of the blocked channel defending its own existence. The posture of stagnation does not want to be disturbed. It has been comfortable for years. It will argue for itself. Your job is to complete the clearing anyway. not with force, but with the steady certainty of someone who has already decided. This is not a test of your belief in the tradition. It is a test of your willingness to treat your own home as a sacred space worthy of this level of attention. You are not moving furniture. You are recalibrating the vessel that your financial life flows through. What you have received today is old. It is not new content dressed in old language. These principles were observed, documented, and passed forward by people who had every reason to care deeply about what sustained a household through economic catastrophe. Because they lived through economic catastrophes that would break most of what we call modern resilience. They knew what a household needed to hold. They knew what a household needed to release. And they encoded it with a precision that, when applied with the same precision, produces results that are real, specific, and in a time frame you can observe. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 objects is in your home right now? Just name it. I read every single comment, and naming it is the first act of releasing it. I will be looking for your response. If you are not yet subscribed, do it now and turn on the notification bell. Next week, I am going to teach something that directly follows from today, specifically the 3 phrases that most people speak out loud every single week inside their homes that undo every clearing they have ever done. Words spoken in specific rooms, in specific moments, that the tradition identifies as direct blockers of financial flow. If you missed that video, you will have done the work of today without the protection that makes it hold. Subscribe with the bell. Do not miss it. And if today's teaching landed something real, if you are looking around your home right now with different eyes than you had an hour ago, press the like button. It tells the platform that this wisdom has weight, and it carries this teaching to someone else who is sitting in a home full of these 5 objects, wondering why nothing moves, not yet knowing that the answer is already in the room with them. May every object you release this week create space for what has been waiting to arrive. May the vessel of your home become whole. May what has been stagnant begin to flow. And may the first sign reach you before the week is finished. Shalom.